What is the piece of audio equipment that you use the most? I'd wager it's the remote control that comes with your amplifier or your streaming DAC or your preamp. And if you're not using an app, you're probably using an infrared remote control or a Bluetooth remote control like this one. This comes with the Google Chromecast 4K. It's kind of a pebbly-like thing. It's okay. It's got all the things that you need, really. And you would use a remote control like this because it's quicker to grab than pull the phone from your pocket and then fire up the app. Or get off your lazy ass and walk over to the rack and turn the volume control or hit play pause or hit the red hot chili peppers button.
This episode is brought to you by Bowers Wilkins, makers of the PI8 True Wireless IEM. Click the link in the show notes for more information.
Now, I have a box of remote controls upstairs, and today I've laid them out in front of me. I'm just rearranging them at the moment, and I've laid them out in order of price. Now, that's not the price of each remote control, obviously, because very few of them are available to buy separately. It's the price of the components that they come with, right? So I think I've got around 27 remotes in front of me here, and we're going to look at them to see what we can find out. And at the end of this video, we'll try to work out what we've learned, if anything, and then I'll share with you my 3 favorite remote controls of all time, only 2 of which I still have here. Some people have asked me, impolitely and politely, why I drink coffee in my videos. And it's mainly because I need to anchor myself with a cup of coffee while I'm talking. And if I just show you this as is, you'll think there's something wrong with my arm, so I have to show you the sip of coffee. Now, why do I need to anchor myself? Well, it's because if I don't and I have 2 arms flailing, I look like Ian Curtis. But I'll put the coffee down just over here for the moment, because now I can anchor myself with a show and tell. This is the remote control that comes with my Samsung frame. It's nothing special, but on the back, it has a solar recharge panel, which I think is really cool. I don't know if this has been patented by Samsung because I've not seen it anywhere else. But if you have, let us know in the comments. But yeah, all plastic with sort of like some plastic buttons, some rubber silicone buttons. And then the remote control that I probably use the most out of any of them is the one that comes with the Apple TV 4K. This is a nice aluminium remote with, I guess, concave, are they plastic? Yeah, there must be plastic buttons on here. This is quite nice. This is not bad. But then if we step up to, I say step up, actually it's a downward step in terms of price. The SR11 from FiiO. I showed that in a recent video. It's a network streamer that sells for around 90 euros. It does Roon and AirPlay. And this is the remote that comes with it. It looks like that. And in fact, it says on here, remote for SR11. Generic, plastic, sort of silicone rubber keys. Nothing special, but that's what we would expect for the price, right? Now, if we look at what comes with the WiiM AMP Ultra, and you can buy this separately, this remote control. Now, can you see any similarities to the Apple TV remote? They look kind of the same, they feel kind of the same, even the edges are the same, you know? So I guess if judged purely from an aesthetics point of view, if I like this, then I like this, and I do, and the haptics are great, and we've got some numbers on here to access playlists and radio stations and things like this. So this is a nice remote, but I'll put those back down there. Do you remember the Squeezebox Touch, the Logitech Squeezebox Touch? Because I've still got the remote for that. And that's a plastic remote, or plastic shell, and then rubber silicone keys. Again, it's fine. It's not really all that different from the FiiO remote, but yeah, that's fine. And then we go to another FiiO remote. This one comes from the R7 vertical streaming DAC, and it's not really much different to the remote that comes with the SR11 network streamer, which only has digital outputs. It's not that much different. But you also get this with the R9, and that's what, 1,300 euros? Oh yeah, I was going to show you these both together, because that's FiiO's remote for the R7. That's Eversolo's remote for the DMP. It's either the A6 or the A8, I can't remember. And I think you would agree, they've probably come from the same factory, if not the same designer. This one's slightly heavier than this one, but the layout is very similar. And then if we stay with Chinese products, this remote control is from the Shanling ET3 CD transport that I still love very much. But again, all plastic, like almost like a chocolate bar shape with silicone controls on it. So it doesn't really feel any different to say the Eversolo or the FiiO. So really we've got these sort of two types emerging, haven't we? The ones that are kind of like an Apple TV remote, and then the plastic candy bar remotes that have the silicone rubber keys. But the next one is a bit different. This one's a bit dusty, I better clean it. This is the remote control from the Stereo 70S from Marantz. This is what I call a dad remote because it's big and it's long and it's got a huge array of buttons on it. It's crazy. This obviously can be used to do all sorts of things. I barely use any of the features on this. And I guess another dad remote, similar in size, similar in key count, is the AudioLab. This comes with the, or I got this with the 6000A Play, but you also get this kind of remote with their more expensive 9000A and the one in between, I forget what that's called. So this is a standard AudioLab remote, irrespective of the price of the piece of gear that it ships with. Now this has a metal front here, the back's all plastic, the keys are plastic. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Now if we go over to America, Shit Audio, I had to find this, I had to really look around to find this one because it wasn't in my storage box. This is the remote that ships with the Freya Plus tube preamp. That's long discontinued. It's an aluminium shell. I think you have to push something in the hole here to pop it out to kind of get the battery in. And then the buttons are sort of clicky. They're fine. They're fine. This is okay. But the Freya sells, or did sell, for nearly 900 euros. That's quite a lot of money. Basic remote, but nothing that I would kind of cry foul at. And then upstairs, I have a pair of Kef LSX LT. This is the remote that comes with them, but this is also the remote that comes with the LS50 Wireless 2 and with the LS60 Wireless, although I think Kef now sell a more luxurious remote control that you can buy as an optional extra. But this as standard with the LS60, no, not good enough. Even with the LS50 Wireless 2, I don't think that's good enough. With the LSX, okay, fine. But I think, yeah, this doesn't excite me. Now, let's have a pause for a minute. I'll have a sip of coffee. And I want to talk about this video's sponsor, which is Roon. So if Roon plays a song that I don't like, the quickest way to silence it is with the mute button on a physical remote control like those I have in front of me. But if the amp or the DAC is a streaming amp or streaming DAC that supports Roon Ready, I'll use the Roon Remote app to hit the red hot chili peppers button. Now, Roon Remote appeals to me because its magazine layout talks in albums, and I am very much an albums kind of guy. Well, that is, unless I'm making a playlist for a product review. Now, this video is not really a product review, but I made a playlist anyway. And this is not a playlist of songs that I like. Quite the opposite. This is a playlist of songs that would have me reaching as quickly as possible for the Roon app or for a physical remote control. So in this playlist, I have put, quite obviously, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I've put in Four Non Blondes, Len, Baha Men, the Black Eyed Peas, Pink, Cher, Ricky Martin, the Spice Girls and Ace of Base. And I would like to thank Roon for sponsoring this video. Okay, so all the remote controls that we've seen so far ship with products that sell for up to about €1,000, right? Now, if I put my coffee down, we're going to go over €1,000 now. So now we're going to go to musical fidelity, and the A1, the newly reissued or rebuilt or re-engineered A1 integrated amplifier, the Class A. This is the remote that comes with it. It's a small fella. It's got an aluminium shell, a bit like the shit, but this one's a bit nicer, and it's got 3 simple buttons: volume up, volume down, and mute. I think this is lovely. This is really nice. It's very well thought out. The buttons are big, they're easy to find. So if you're squinting at your dad remote, you might like something like this. Next one. Now we're going to a product which sells for well over £2 and I don't think that this remote control is good enough. This comes from the Hugo 2 streaming, no, it's not a streaming DAC. It's a portable DAC that has a streaming module that you can attach to it, which is how I use it. But the Hugo 2, its filters, its light dimming, its crossfade, its inputs, its volume can be controlled with this remote. But this is an all plastic affair with, again, silicone buttons. It is no better, actually not even that one. It's not really any better than the remote we get with the SR11 from FiiO, which is a $90 network streamer, right? So, I don't know, I think Cord need to do better here. Now, somebody who's obviously put, or when I say somebody, some company that's put a lot of effort into their remote control here. This is the remote that ships with the Eversolo DMP-A6, which we reviewed recently. And it has a nice sort of chrome back. It's a fingerprint magnet, yes, but look at this. To me, this communicates the luxury nature of a hi-fi product, because all of this shit is luxury gear, right? And I think, have I scratched the back of this? Maybe I have a little bit, but yeah, I think this really communicates that. It's a nice sort of rounded pebble shape, has volume up and down. We've got Red Hot Chili Peppers button, play, pause, mute. And I think you can do some basic controls of the touchscreen with this. That's really nice. And another company that's really sort of stepped up, but made their remote a weapon. This is the Cambridge Audio, what's this called? Is it the Edge? It's the streaming preamplifier. It's quite a big fella. And this remote is quite a big fella. It's got some presets here. We've got input change. We've got Red Hot Chili Peppers, volume up and down, previous track, power on and off. I like this remote. It feels good. It's more substantial than the Marantz. It's more substantial than the Audiolab. So this is what I would call a more sort of luxurified or luxury version of a dad remote. Now, this whole video was kind of, well, it wasn't, I'll explain it at the end, but what really tipped me over the edge into making this video was a remote control that arrived last week with a product, a streaming DAC that sells for over €3,000. And this is the remote. I've got to say it's pitiful because it's no better than the FiiO that I showed you before. And yet the streaming DAC sells for $3,300. There's a disconnect here, right? Now, another company that I think really gets it in terms of designing something that's a nice item that you kind of want to grab and pick up is Enleum. This is from their AMP 23R integrated amplifier, which is also a wonderful headphone amp. This is a nice, solid, chunky, all metal remote, nice simple button layout. It feels good. It's got some little rubber nodules on the bottom so that when you put it down, it doesn't make a big clonking sound. They've made an effort and it shows. Now, I don't really know how I feel about this next one. It's called the RC34. It comes from Lingdorf. This ships with the TD-AI 3400, which is a fairly seriously expensive streaming integrated amplifier with room correction. Yeah, it's a dad remote. It's a slimline dad remote. I call dad remote because obviously lots and lots of buttons. It's okay. I think Lingdorf could do, yeah, quite a bit better here. Somebody who has done better, I think, with the slimline format is Rotel. This is the remote from the Mishi Q5 CD player, which we've covered quite a bit this year. I like this remote. I like how it feels. It's almost like a Harry Potter wand, isn't it? And it's got play, pause, Red Hot Chili Peppers, previous track, and then some basic menu functionality here. So you can control or go into the menus with this remote control and then volume up and down and mute. It's all metal. It feels solid. This bit here is obviously plastic, but it's nice. Now, another one for, I guess, the Hall of Shame when it comes to remotes. Sorry to say, it goes to JBL. This is the remote that ships with their 4329p streaming active loudspeakers, which I absolutely love. They are wonderful sounding streaming active speakers. Do they have a direct digital amplifier inside? I think they do. Anyway, that's not really material to this review. This is a cheap plastic Yeah, silver remote. JBL could do better here. This is not great. I mean, yeah, you can change the inputs on the speakers. Yes, you've got play, pause, Chili Peppers button, volume up and down, mute, power off. But it's light, it's plasticky, it feels cheap. And the 4329p are not cheap, right? So why doesn't this remote reflect the luxury nature of those loudspeakers? I don't know why. Whereas T+A, their remote, even though it's a dad remote, this does, at least from the front, communicate the luxury nature of their Symphonia streaming amplifier. So we've got a nice metal plate here. We've got a plastic back, but I think, I'm almost certain that this remote is made in Germany. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're watching this T+A, please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But it certainly feels like it is, but I know that T+A make almost everything in Germany. So I think this is, it's okay. Well, it's slightly better than okay. It's good, but it's not outstanding, but it's still pretty good. And then lastly is this one. And I think this is disappointing given the retail price of the product with which it ships. This is the remote from the Marantz Model 10 amplifier that I love so much and I bought, but it's not really all that much better than the remote that ships with the Stereo 70S. The only difference I can really see that's obvious is that the plate on the front is metal, but the buttons are still plastic. It doesn't feel that much heavier than the Stereo 70S remote. So for me, this is a bit of a swing and a miss in the context of the price of the Model 10. So what did we learn from all of that? Well, we learned that remote control quality rarely, if ever, correlates with the parent product's price, and that most remotes are subpar. They don't say, touch me. Now this tells us that many hi-fi manufacturers could quite easily, I think, step up their remote control game. I think why they don't is that maybe they don't have the economies of scale to design a remote from scratch and then have it built. Maybe they're just going to generic manufacturers in China and say, make me that remote, but put our logo on it. I think many of them are doing that. Now at the low end, yeah, this is the low end, isn't it? The high end is the high end, at the low end. At the entry level, that's fine. But I think as we get into amplifiers and streaming DACs that sell for, I don't know, more than $2,000, these cheap plastic things, they're not good enough. Because the remote control sets the tone for the product, because it's often the first thing that we touch, right? And if not, it's definitely the item we touch the most. So ask yourself, what do you do most often? Do you get out of your chair to turn the volume wheel on the preamp or the amp or the DAC in the rack? Or do you use an app? Or do you reach for the remote control? I bet most of you, in fact, I know most of you, reach for the remote. And I'm not buying the argument that hi-fi manufacturers cheap out on the remote in order to pass the savings on to the customer. And if that really is the case, how about offering a second, more luxurious remote that can be purchased separately, a bit like Kef do? And I would love to see more manufacturers do this, right? I wish more of them actually did that already. Yeah, Marantz need to lift their game with the remote control that ships with their flagship products, because the remote that comes with the SACD10 and the Link 10N also come with remotes that look like this. Okay, now to my 3 most memorable remote controls of all time. Firstly, or rather in third place, this is the Microsoft Surface Dial. This was designed by Microsoft not to be a volume control or anything like that. It was designed for use with Surface computers. But there's a German software company called RooExtend, and they have coded a Roon extension that allows this Surface Dial to talk to a Roon server via a small board. I think it's a Rockchip computer, which I think is pretty clever. So this can be used as, if you push it, you get play pause. If you turn it, you get volume up and down. Obviously, this is only compatible with Roon products, but I Yeah, I really like this. In second place is the remote control that ships with WLA amplifiers. Now, I've not owned one for many years, but that remote control has stuck in my memory as one of the best remote controls I've ever used. Why is that? Well, because it puts a large volume wheel on the coffee table in front of you, and it's a joy to turn, but most of all, its industrial design and fit and finish is the same as the amp. So it communicates the luxury nature of the product. Now, in first place is somewhat of an odd choice, and that is, I've got to reach over here, the remote control that once shipped with the Logitech Squeezebox Duet. I'm just powering it on. It's a powered remote. It takes a little time to boot up. I'm hoping that I charged the battery enough yesterday. I think I did. So it has backlit keys. It has a screen on it. This was one half of the Duet, right? So you had the streaming unit, which had no screen on it, the Duet. I didn't love the sound of it because its DAC circuit wasn't as good as the Squeezebox Classic, but this remote, this was a wow at the time. We're talking 2008, right? And the whole thing, the whole package sold for maybe a few $100. Now my screen is losing its brightness, but yeah, back then, this screen, you can hear the boot up sound, this screen, this scroll wheel, they were a revelation. In fact, there's even a headphone socket on the top, so you could use this as a streaming endpoint. Absolutely bonkers. But I just thought, and still do think, this is absolutely terrific. And I would love to see some streaming manufacturer have a go at making something like this again, because it's brilliant. Although it does need a charging cradle, but you can store it in there. So you can have it on, I guess, on your coffee table. I'll put it on mine over here, out of shot. And it's sat there for whenever I need it. Anyway, that's all from me for today. Like and subscribe according to your preference. And don't forget to hit us up on Patreon's free tier, because it won't cost you a penny. That's where I regularly publish what I am listening to every couple of days. And as always, thank you ever so much for watching. Okay, let's round out this video with a couple of extra thoughts. Now, the genesis, the idea for this video came not from me, but from a patron. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me. And I hope it makes sense to you, because remote controls are extremely important in the whole hi-fi experience. Now, obviously, I say obviously, some people don't get it, but obviously I don't have a magic Narnia wardrobe that gives me access to any piece of hi-fi gear at any time. So this video is limited, obviously, to the remotes currently residing in my remote control storage drawer. But if you have a remote control that you think deserves a mention, let us know in the comment section below. But don't forget to tell us why it deserves a mention, because that, I think, is super important. And lastly, I always try to show the remote control in our review videos, so feel free to let me know if I forget to do that, because remote controls are important, and at the very minimum, we need to know what they look like.